Welcome back, baseball fans. 1972-75 carryover league. We're continuing the card set analysis. We're in the fourth year out, also sometimes called I call it the rookie box. First time we see some players. Doing an analysis of a couple divisions tonight. We're going to do the National League East, National League Central. So we'll begin with the Atlanta Braves. We're going to look at the keepers. We're probably going to skip over the carry-on guys. We've seen those a few times. And then look at the rookies. Guys who, this will be their, a lot of times, the first time being in the league. So obviously, here's Hank Aaron. Now we know we're going to take his 73 card, but he still plays here in 75. Now this Marty Perez card actually might be the selection, as it's the highest batting average in the timeline. He's really cut out to be a second baseman, but he's got to be forced into playing shortstop while they have Davey Johnson on the roster. So that's not a bad batting average, at least. And they have Walt Williams, a nice little, he could be a DH in the National League, as we use it universally. And he's a 281 hitter, 5 home runs, projects to about 15 in a full season, so not bad at all for Walt Williams. And then when we skipped over immediately to the rookie class of 75, this is where they did so well a year ago in the 74 box by pulling out the Buzz Capra and Tom House cards. And they made a big impact. So here's Larvell Blanks. Now here's a shortstop. He also, like Perez, is not good with a glove, and he's just okay. Vic Correll, power hitting catcher. A little bit of draws walks. He's not too bad. 215, but the walks and the power make it look better. Here's Roland Office. Here's a center fielder who can catch the ball. Hit lefties pretty well. He could be a full-time player if you need it. You have Dusty Baker in center field currently, but you got a 290 hitting outfielder waiting in the wings if you need it. Biff Pocoroba, left-handed hitting catcher with power. Always like that. Here's a switch hitter. Sometimes, some seasons he's just a lefty. But there you go. He could be the heir apparent of Johnny Oates. They have Mike Squires they took away from the White Sox organization, and he's just okay here. Just a slap hitter. Good defense, though. Mike Beard, lefty reliever who's very good. Yeah, that's a nice lefty reliever. He should get into the league, assuming if this was the last year of eligibility, he'd definitely be in it by now. Sometimes in the very first year of eligibility, he might not make it, but 3.21 ERA in 70 innings, that's not a fluke. That's a nice little card there. Jim Easterly, sometimes known as Jamie. Not quite nearly as good as the last guy, Beard, but he also throws left-handed. Max Leone, last rookie here. Relief 3, starter 6. Just okay. Just a guy, as we like to say. 4.13 ERA. Well, there you go. We have some different positions available. And so it's a decent crop there. Decent crop of rookies. If you choose not to go with the keepers. Next up, the Florida Marlins. Tom Bergmeyer is a keeper on the keeper list. He's got a very good year here, getting lefties out at least. You have to do that, and he does. Righties, not so much. It's a 3.08 ERA, though. A very good Montanez. A 1 first baseman, hits lefties really well. So that's a fine everyday player, something this team sorely could use. 3.02, the power's not really there, but it kind of comes and goes with this guy. That sounds like Montanez and Bergmeyer might be the two selections if the rookie class is not good. So let's go look at that. We have John Balaz, corner outfielder. Again, the rookies are guys taken from other organizations. These are going to be all over Major League Baseball. He was an Angel. Jose Morales. Hey, it's a heck of a card there. A utility player all over the place, can be a DH. 300 batting average. 301. Did it with the Expos. Did it with the Dodgers and the Twins as well. When a guy travels around a lot, he makes a good candidate for an expansion team. So that would be a nice pick for the Marlins. Craig Reynolds is all over the infield here. Not any power, but a left-handed bat. Hits about, what, 245, something like that. 224. Fernando Arroyo. The lefties kind of get to him a little bit, but he's decent against righties. Not too bad. 458. Eric Reich. Kind of not the same kind of thing, not that great. 552. Eduardo Rodriguez. He's a little better. These guys are getting a lot of these relief 4, starter 5 guys, but this guy's ERA is 348. That's pretty good. Vern Rule. And here's the starter 6, was with a Tiger, then went to the Astros. 403, 190 innings. Well, I mean, there's definitely potential for this young expansion team, at least with Morales as a rookie, and Montanez, and possibly Bergmeyer. So, I mean, they've got options. And that's what you want out of your, you want options for these teams when they didn't have a farm system, because it didn't exist, of course. The Mets. So where are they in 1975? Well, not this Bud Harrelson, though he still gets on base against lefties here. This Tug McGraw is actually better than the 73 version, but I believe he's with Philadelphia here. Yeah, he's already moved to the Phillies. We think we're taking the 73 Tom Seaver, but the plain fact is Tom Seaver's Tom Seaver every year, and he just delivers a great stat line. So a lot of times, you make sure your other guys are good, and Seaver will always be good in any year you pick. Staub. This is kind of ordinary. Nothing really particular great about that. 270. 282 with 19 home runs. -3 arm. I guess you could say he's got these walks against righties that are nice, but otherwise, kind of a typical Rusty Staub card. Nothing really stood out there. The young players for the Mets, you have a young utility infielder, Mike Phillips. It's pretty good. Actually, this guy starts good and it kind of has a middling career after this at around 220, 230 most years. 251 here, though, as a left-handed bat. He's okay. John Stearns, you kind of want to wait on him. He'll eventually become your everyday catcher, but right now, that's not very good, is it? He's can play against lefties, though. 189. Here's a nice reliever, and I believe they lose Frisella in the offseason. They got a spot open in the bullpen when Danny Frisella was traded. So there you go, Bob Apotica. My goodness. 148 and 85 innings. These Mets just, they know pitching, and they do never have a shortage of that. Rick Baldwin's a long reliever. He's just a guy with a 334 ERA. Looks worse than that. Doubles there. Oh, opportunistic, I suppose. Randy Tate. That's an out. That's an out. You hope that's an out. That would be okay over there while he's getting knocked around over there. To a 443 ERA. And Hank Webb, starter 6. Could be your number 4 starter. Not a high priority for the Mets. They always get somebody to pitch for them. They never have a shortage in the pitching department. Well, that's the Mets. Like the Apotica. Possibly that Seaver. Let's go through the last team in the East, the Phillies, who surprised everybody by going to the League Championship a year ago, and now is finally their heyday. So they're ahead of schedule, which is scary for the rest of the National League. Now here you have a situation here where Bo is a 1. He's always going to be a 1 in this era. He's hitting 305, but the cautionary tale is he's an E29 shortstop. It's not printed there, but it's not printed on these cards. And in other years, he's like an E14 shortstop. So what is the sacrifice? Do you sacrifice the 305 because you don't like that E29 and go with like a 250, 260 hitting Boa who's an E12, 13, 14 shortstop to make sure it's an automatic double play? That's the dilemma the Phillies will sort through. Pat Dobson, starter 7. He's got a better year in 72. This is the Jay Johnstone the Phillies traded for after having a career in California and Chicago White Sox that wasn't particularly good. He arrives here in Philadelphia as a good 74, 75, and 76. Here's 329. Not a lot of power, but my goodness, folks, Jay Johnstone on this Philly team, they're building this machine that perennially competes for the National League East. throughout the end of this decade. Now let's take a look at their rookies. Sometimes rookies are new to them. Could be another expression. Or first-year player. Could be another synonym there. So here we have Christensen. Hey, welcome to Philadelphia. 366 ERA, 172 innings. Starter 6. Gene Garber's finally started to figure it out here. He was with Kansas City kind of as a starter. Now he's a full-time reliever, and he's tuned in here. 360 ERA. Looks a lot better than that, though. Another relief starter, Ron Schuler. Walks against lefties. Otherwise, he's pretty decent. 350 ERA. Oh, 523. Those walks must have been followed by home runs. Tom Underwood, starter 6. And he could pitch a 3 days rest, but he's just an ordinary kind of guy, though. But if you need a lefty on 3 days rest, here's Tom. Not bad. They really got to decide exactly what they want to do with Boa. Plus, this is 75. You could have this card for 4 years. And again, he's an E29. That's 29 errors a year. I like that. He's been a 1E7 or a 1E8 shortstop. And if this guy starts kicking the ball around the infield, and now the Phillies have a low earned run average, but they're giving up unearned runs. All right, let's take a little break, and then we'll go into the National League Central. All right, we're going to begin with the Cubs. National League Central Cubs. Fergie, by this time, is probably with Texas. He is. He's got a nice card. Well, 18-game loser. We'll probably do something we do with Morgan, which is make sure he completes his Chicago career before he begins his Texas career. So we won't take this card here. Kessinger. Kind of want to get him as a 2 while I still can in one of his earlier years, though this is a decent year for him. Hitting 243. 670 plate appearances. Not a lot there on the keeper list. Let's look at the rookies. Last year they had a rookie named Bill Madlock who hit 300, and they can actually improve him to his batting title. That happens in this year, 75. Actually, we can look at that if you want to. There it is. So, here is your 1975 National League batting champion, Bill Madlock. We have a 74 card in the league. He's hitting like 310. So, do you want to waste the draft pick and bump him up to this card immediately? That's the conundrum the Cubs have to consider. They still have a very good Ron Santo playing third base, and Madlock can play designated hitter. So, it might behoove them just to pump the brakes a little bit. I mean, that's a really good Madlock card, but he already has a really good card. And while you have third base kind of blocked by the older third baseman Santo, you might want to just kind of leave things alone. How about this rookie catcher? If Randy Hundley's getting old, and he is, here's a catcher versus righties at least who rakes. My goodness, look at the homers and on base for Tim Hosley over here. 33% over there is going to give him a bad overall stat line. 255. So folks, what's this guy doing against righties? He's probably got a 400 on base, or a 380, something like that, hitting with an 800, 850 OPS. That's a heck of a card. So I would go after this if I'm the Cubs. Peter Marshall's son from the Hollywood Squares is Pete Lecoq, and here he is. He's a platoon guy, corner, infielder, outfielder, has some power. Jerry Morales, good defensive center fielder, a 2 in center. If the Cubs are wanting defense, this guy could be an everyday player. 270, because the percentage is low against lefties where he's really good. But that's a nice card right there. This is great news for the Cubs, really, as the Beckerts and Jenkins and Billy Williams and Jim Hickmans are all getting older, that they have some young guns coming up. Plus, I think they have Andy Thornton coming up either here or in 74. Rob Sparing, a utility infielder. He's okay. Steve Swisher, now you got a catcher. There's too many guys here. This is another reason why you shouldn't improve Madlock. There's too many good players here to consider. So Swisher can platoon with Hosley with a -1 arm. But this is the guy, the new first baseman. You didn't have one last year. You had Don Mincher, acquired in a trade. Look at Andy Thornton. Call me Andre. 293, 18 bombs. He's your starting first baseman, folks. They also have Carmen Funzone. Wow, what a great Manny Trio. If Beckert is getting too old, you can just not protect him. Let him go. Let Beckert go and just go to Manny Trio. 248. Bill Bonham? Oh, he's getting knocked around over there. Look at all these Cubs. This is like 15 guys. There's a ton of guys. And by me calling him a rookie, what I'm saying is they have not been in my league at any time. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's a lefty reliever is pretty good. 11, a righty reliever, Zamora. My goodness, Cubs. This is, I could say it's random, but it's more historic than random. This is how the cards fall. I mean, some teams have like 1 or 2 rookies, and the Cubs have a dozen. A broad range for rookie, first-year player. All right, Jack Billingham. So he'll get a ring, as the 75 Reds won the World Series. But really, I mean, you don't really want this guy to be your anchor with this card. It's just okay. Same with Gullett. That's okay. 292 ERA or something like that. 242. But here is the card we think the Reds are going to take. If you're going to get Joe Morgan on your team, you might as well go all out and get this. Just get all bases covered here. You know what I mean? Like, just do everything. Oh, he's not an A bunter. Oh, darn. I mean, I can't bunt with Joe Morgan. Oh, my goodness. Jeez. And he'll have a better year in 76. 132 walks. Yeah, I think you got to make that splash and go with 75 Morgan. Tony Perez, very good year as well. 75. As you would expect, most of these Reds should have great years in 75. They just destroyed baseball that year. And the young players. So they got a utility guy, Doug Flynn. He's a very good player. 268 all over the infield. Here we are. We have George Foster, and most likely we'll have Griffey too. 20 home runs yet? 23 home runs. And you can't keep him in the minor leagues anymore. He's been available since 72. They haven't touched him. But he's got to be getting into this league because that protection is going to go away and someone will easily steal him. Griffey, same thing. Griffey probably can't. You have a year protecting the 75 Griffey, and no one's going to take the 74 version. So I would go with Foster this year and then maybe Griffey next year because there's just not enough spots right now for all these guys. Plus, you still have Bobby Tolan in the outfield. Eastwick's a good reliever, as is McEnany. Lefty-righty combo. McEnany, they have a need for a lefty reliever, so McEnany might be on the short track. Again, it's tough. This is the George Foster, the Joe Morgan dilemma. I mean, you really want to get this card as soon as possible for 4 years. That increases your chances to win multiple world championships. The downside is, though, if there is such a downside, is if you get this card for 4 years, the 1976 card, which is a little bit better, you'd only have it for 1 year. So that's some other consideration. Boy, the Reds. All right, moving on, we will go to the Pirates. The world champion Pirates. How about that? So Keeson was the guy they kept over Blas because Keeson is with them through the whole decade. And he comes so close to 3 days rest, and you could call this could be his best year ever. I don't know if they just didn't want him to pitch on 3 days rest, or he had injuries that prevented that from happening. But the entire decade, he never throws 200 innings, nor does he win like 15 or more games. But he's a very effective starting pitcher. As a starter 7 here, no home runs over here, a single one there. And against lefties, that's pretty good too. You're going to get that out on 6. You hope, at least. Really nice card for Keeson there. Now, Stargell can be your first baseman now, but we've already thought that the 73 card, the 73 card, he's got 44 home runs. You don't want to lose 22 home runs by using this card. So chronologically, yeah. Just wait. Just wait till the 73 card is the time is up on that, then move into this one. Look at Rennie Stennett figuring out defensively. He does it. He becomes a 1 at a certain point for one season later on. I think in 77. But here he's a 2, and here's an everyday second baseman. Not bad at all. Full-time 650 plate appearances. So this is your everyday second baseman. So you don't need Bill Mazeroski anymore, or any other backup. They have Frank Tavares. They also have Larry Milbourne, I think. But yeah, nice performance for Stennett and Keeson there. If you need a rookie, Art Howe, he's just okay. He's a utility guy. The Candyman, do you bring him along? Is it candy time? Do you need him in you've got Jim Rooker anchoring your staff as a lefty starter, Ramon Hernandez a lefty in the bullpen. This is a very good Candelaria card in 75, 275 ERA. Can't pitch on 3 days rest, but starter 7 definitely should be considered. If you got a spot, you're only allowed 3 lefties. So if you have 3 lefties already, Candelaria cannot be the 4th. And there's Tekulve, beginning a long tenure in Pittsburgh. Righty submariner who gets the righties out, lefties nick them around a little bit, and that's all they have. So you're seeing the difference in farm systems where there's only 3 Pirates and there was a dozen Cubs. That's just going to vary that way. And the last team tonight will be the Cardinals, who heartbreakingly just missed the playoffs a year ago. 74, Brock is a triple A Steeler, and then he's back to a double A here in 75, but still a great everyday card, hitting around 300, 309. Joe Torre has better offense than prior cards, so you don't want this one. That's it. So you're really going to need some rookie help in this year of 75. And here we have him. We have our rookie first baseman. So Joe Torre is slated to move over from 3rd to 1st, but if you want to, have Hernandez play and Torre play a little first together, and then Torre could play 3rd against righties, and Reitz, you could have Hernandez and Kenny Reitz could both come up with Joe Torre platooning with the opposite guy. And there is Ken Reitz. So, yeah, there you go. So imagine these 2 guys platooning on the corner with Torre. So you have Hernandez over here against righties, Reitz over there against lefties. 1 third baseman, too. Both these guys would end games while Torre be on the bench for defense. Ken Rudolph, just an okay catcher. Bob Forsch, oh my goodness, Cardinals, great news. Boy, you might want to think of getting him in that rotation. You do have Siebert and Gibson and Spinks and John Curtis. But Spinks was only a 1-year starter that you could move to the bullpen if you were to bring up Bob Forsch. And he's pitching on 3 days rest in 75. Wow. And there's Mike Garman, another good reliever. So 239 ERA in 80 innings. Wow. Cardinals in good shape. See, this is what I mean. It's a glut of talent, and you got to sift through it and understand that you have to have some patience. You can only take 2 guys a year. So you have to protect a couple guys in your farm system and bring them up next year. This is Eric Rasmussen, known as Harry here. He's okay. And speaking of waiting, here's another instance where Keith Hernandez is fine, but it's nothing really that special. He's a 250 hitter. You may as well just wait until he starts hitting 300 for you. Same with Reitz. He doesn't have power against lefties. So if you want to wait on these guys and do this suggestion with their 76 or 77 cards. That might make more sense. And I'd go with Bob Forsch, you know, as the guy who's probably going to help this team the most. Plus, Forsch will have a nice long run with the Cardinals into the early 1980s. And there you have it. That's the National League East and the National League Central. Next week, we'll complete this box by looking at the Mountain Time Zone and the National League West. So thanks for checking this out, folks. We'll see you next time.